a man really hates cable news.
Jon Stewart claims the upcoming presidential election pushed his decision to leave The Daily Show, which he has hosted since 1999. After covering 4 presidential elections over his 16-year reign, Stewart claimed he just wasn't getting the same level of satisfaction from hosting as he once did. He explained to The Guardian that, quote, "These things are cyclical. You have moments of dissatisfaction and then you come out of it and it's okay. But the cycles become longer and maybe more entrenched, and that's when you realize, okay, I'm on the backside of it now." Stewart went on to acknowledge the daily grind of major news channels like Fox and MSNBC. "Watching these channels all day is incredibly depressing. I live in a constant state of depression. I think of us as turd miners. I put on my helmet, I go and mine turds. Hopefully I don't get turd lung disease." Trevor Noah, a 30-something South African comedian, will take over the reins of The Daily Show by early 2016.
There you go. So Jon is leaving The Daily Show. Trevor Noah taking over. We're all in the news biz thing here. We talk about the news a lot. We tweet about the news. We know what's going on in the world. How much do you empathize with that he had to be in this thing constantly? It's a suck. Isn't it a soul-sucking thing at some level?
Imagine being the host of a local show for 10 years with all the same faces in the audience looking back at you to do new material every time you face them.
Yeah.
Locally. You'd go crazy from it.
You'd go completely bonkers.
You'd burn out from the thing you love.
Yeah.
I get it. And you know what? New people will come in and take the reins. That's the way it was. He was a new person who took the reins and slowly usurped all faith in cable news away to his show rather than theirs.
You've done local news and the Young Turks and plenty of other TV stuff. How much of just having to know about this stuff and still perform and be out there and say what you think, like that, it just takes a certain toll on you?
Let me say one thing first. My mother, a real progressive woman, was the only person I've ever heard use the word usurp except in regard to like 19th century European powers. Right? I don't think there's no, this is without conspiracy theory, that read incredibly true. You do something, almost anything that long that requires that much investment, unless it changes. And as Rick said, it doesn't really change. It's the same kind of thing. You've got to sort of make change out of what is the same kind of story again and again, Right, it was Rick Santorum in 2012, and now it's Ted Cruz. But they're saying the same mean-spirited, hideous things. So I think it's legitimate, and I don't buy an idea that they picked Trevor Noah so he'd fail, so Stewart would look, blah, blah, blah. It's all.
Oh, really? Is that what they're saying?
That's what I heard from a couple of people.
No, boy.
But I don't.
Twitter.
But I mean, why does Jon Stewart need to be more validated? Like, it doesn't matter if Jon Stewart. He's good, not Craig Kilborn. Jon Stewart is the godfather of that show. Jon Stewart made that show what it is. Right. And when you make a movie that's pretty good and you enjoy it, and it was kind of an important movie, he can say, I don't really know, I'm not thinking about that right now, but I guarantee you, he wants to direct some more movies. He was pretty good at it, and directors get better as they go along. So I would imagine that's exactly what he wants to do.
To your point about how the show turned, I interned at The Daily Show in 1999 when Craig Kilborn had just left, and Comedy Central was barely a network at that time. I mean, not only did they build this show into an institution, but they built the entire network. How important do you think is satire in the political scheme of things? Our friend Jimmy Dore always says this thing about how Chuck Todd admitted on Meet the Press that if he ever asks a hard question, the guest will never come back. So we need satire more than ever, right, to call out the bullshit, because the media is never going to do it, right?
That's it. Bill Maher's still holding down the fort. You're holding down the fort. New voices will rise up and fill in the need. The demand for it is now going to create its own market.
So that's a beautiful thing, right?
It's totally a beautiful thing. It's vitally important. What's amazing is that he is that idea that is too easily dismissed, but that show is more trustworthy than almost any other show on cable news. I'm worried for Trevor Noah just because anybody stepping into that kind of expectation is tough. I mean, that's a tough thing to do, even if you're great at it. I mean, I at the TCM Festival, I interviewed George Lazenby, who is an interesting guy, a crazy guy, and not a little misogynistic. But taking over for Sean Connery
Yeah.
was impossible. And that movie, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is great now. Great. It's a great Bond. It might be my favorite Bond. It's one of the top 3. But it was an impossible task to replace Sean Connery, and it might be an impossible task to replace Jon Stewart on The Daily Show.
Yeah.
And Trevor Noah might be the guy who was like, who was the guy in between Jon Stewart and whoever this next guy is who owns? I hope not. I hope he
Perhaps Dave Rubin.
Perhaps Dave Rubin. Is there, just to be clear, is there a different Dave Rubin, or are you talking about you?
The Dave Rubin, the casting director. And, actually, to that point, I did text my manager the day that John said he was stepping down, and I said, can I get on a list or an audition or something? He wrote back, LOL. So I don't think we're going to be working together anymore. Anyway, what do you think? Is John going to go off and do great things? And is Trevor Noah going to be all right as the Daily Show host? Let us know in the comments right down below.